Hello, welcome back. So I have my Books and Done t-shirt on, which means I'm ready for business. So I'm gonna go through all the books that I read in the month of July. Spoiler, there's a lot of 1 stars. I'm just gonna get right into it. Eleanor and Park. So Eleanor and Park came out a few years ago. It is a story about middle schoolers who meet on a bus. They're from totally different walks of life. Eleanor's from a troubled household, her parents aren't together, whereas Park comes from your idealistic family. His dad's a veteran, his mom is from Korea, and it's about their love story and how they fall in love. It was going fine up until the ending, because there is no ending. Therefore, this book gets 1 star. I don't, like, how could you not end a book? It literally ends on, the postcard said 3 words. That's how it ends. And I was like, what? And then somebody said the author was thinking about making a second book. I can't read a second book if I can't trust you to finish the first book. The next book, this is a did not finish for me, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. This was everywhere, that's why I had to read it. But it was also not good. It's about this young girl, and it's set in the 1600s in France, which automatically I can't relate, not from the 1600s, and I don't live in France. So she is supposed to get married to this guy who's got some kids. I think he's a widow. She doesn't want to marry him. So she goes out into the woods and she prays to the gods, and one of the gods answers, but it's not the good God, it's the bad God. It's the kind of God that makes deals with you that you have to pay with your soul. So he basically says, I'll give you eternity of life, and I hate this apartment. It's loud. Every day, all day, every day, 24/7, it's loud. So he answers her wish, and he grants her basically immortality. So she can live forever as long as she wants, and then when she's done, she just has to give him her soul. Now, the caveat there, the trick to this is that nobody, no matter who she meets or makes eye contact with or talks to, they cannot remember her the minute their eyes leave her. So she tries to go to her family, they don't remember her. She tries to go to her friends, they don't remember her. She's got nothing, she's got no food, she's got no shelter, she's just in her wedding dress. So she goes into France, and what happens in France? She tries to make some money by street walking. Guys, it's not a good story. That's why I had to stop reading it. I was like, no, come on. This is a book written in 2020. We know how to make money besides this way. Like, come on. Like, have her be like, you know the book Powerless, right? How she like steals, right? She steals food, she steals clothes, she steals fabric. Like, have her be like thrifty, like have her be an independent woman. Like, the minute it became a story about staying the night with guys after bars just to have a place to sleep, I was like, out, whatever. She starts a relationship with a guy who runs a bookstore. He eventually starts journaling down everything, so he does kind of remember her by writing in his journal and reading his journal. There's not much to the story. It's like really simple. I don't know. I didn't like it. I wouldn't recommend it. I did not finish it. The reason I know how it ends is because I Googled it. So do not recommend that book. Nope. The other book I gave a 1 star to, and honestly, the first book wasn't that bad. Blood and Ash. The first book is really not that bad. This is a series. It's a 4-part series, but for some reason she wrote like an extra 2 books that are not really necessary to read, according to what other reviewers have said. But basically, the first story of Blood and Ash is, it's this girl, Poppy. She's a maiden, and she belongs to the king. So basically, she's got like royal blood or something. I don't know. She's got special powers, and she has to always cover her face so that nobody can see the scars on her face. And she gets a bodyguard. The bodyguard's really handsome. They are attracted to each other. And that's kind of the love story there. Then we find out that, oh, he's a prince, of course. So that's the first book, and the first book is decent. It's really not that bad. It's very repetitive. If you start reading it, you'll start noticing like, oh wow, she keeps repeating herself. Like, she keeps repeating, the dialogue's repetitive, the descriptions are repetitive, and it took me out of it. It was like way too long than it needed to be. It could have been shortened. It should have been edited down. So this book on its own is not that good, but the story is decent. Now the second book I started and I did not finish it. I did not finish it because, again, it started with that slow, very, very slow, very, very repetitive, and I didn't get to the end of it. I got up to where they were traveling together, and then I had to stop reading because honestly it just bored me. He wanted to marry her and she was like, I'm not gonna marry you. And then she was like, okay, if you get me a big ring, I'll marry you. Like, out of touch with reality much? Like, the people in this town or village or whatever are dying, you know, they're giving up their children. Out of touch? Yeah, a little bit. So that one I gave, that one should actually get the lowest amount of stars. That one should actually get 0 stars. That one was not good at all. That series needs to be edited, rewritten. Okay, I have one more low star review, and that is The Shepherd King. Now, the first book of the Shepherd King series, it's a duology. The first book is actually, I kind of liked it. Like, it's all about it's this girl, she has this like demon living inside of her because she touched a magical card. The magical card brought to life a demon, and the demon's in her head. So she doesn't want to tell anybody this, so she kind of keeps it to herself. But yeah, people have magical cards, and the only thing that's really strange about this novel is that the world is very, very small. So it's almost like she can go to this house and then she can go to that house, which just happens to be down the street, and then, oh, there's a fog surrounding us. It's not very inventive. It's very like straightforward. Here's your story, here's your love interest, let's fall in love and let's solve the mystery of putting all the cards together. That's basically the task, is to put all the cards together. So the first one I kind of liked, but the second one of the duology completely lost me. It's not even written from our main character's point of view at all. She's almost MIA in this book. It's written from 2 other characters' point of view, and these 2 characters really don't have much to them. One's a very vapid person who just, it's all about the exterior. The other person is just kind of like lost. He doesn't know what he wants to be. He's not like, he's a prince, but he's not really fully committed to being a prince because he's not the firstborn. His brother's like really sick and he's not doing anything about it. In fact, there are like characters that are suffering during this book, and the whole time I'm thinking, why aren't we helping them? But I guess we have more vapid, unimportant things to do. So this one, the second book, awful. I completely skip it altogether. First book you can read, and if you want to know the spoilers, there are a few people on Reddit who wrote the spoilers for the second book, so you can find out how it ended. But honestly, if you just read the first book, you're completely fine on that series. Okay, so the last book I want to talk about is Rebel Rising. It's the story of Rebel Wilson. She's an actress from Australia. She started in Australia. It starts from her whole life, from being a child and picking cans out of the garbage and working for her parents' pet business. They had a pet caravan where they went to pet shows and sold pet supplies, and then they made their way up to having like a brick and mortar store, I guess. And she goes to like the most elite private school in Australia, and from there she studies really hard and gets into a program. It's like a foreign exchange program kind of thing, where she goes to South Africa for an entire year. And then it goes to her going to school in Sydney. She actually studied drama and she studied law. It took her 10 years to get her degree, but I think it's still like kind of inspirational because she talks about how when she was living in Melbourne, she used to get on a train to go to Sydney, and then she would study all day and then go back to Melbourne home at night. So it's kind of like she was pursuing acting and law at the exact same time, which I kind of relate to. So I found it very relatable. I guess the other thing that's maybe some people didn't like was she does brag a lot in this book. So she does talk about how she made $20 million when she filmed The Hustler, Pitch Perfect 3, and it was I think it's the romantic comedy that she was in. So she talks about how she made $20 million in 1 year. She also talks about how she invested in a lot of real estate. She owns a lot of properties. But I still enjoyed it. It kind of, to me, read like a manifestation journal, like somebody who had achieved, I guess, what I'm trying to achieve. So I really enjoyed reading it. But I get it's not for everybody. You know, if you're not pursuing comedy or acting or law or it's probably not for you, but if you are, then I think you'll like it. Again, I give it 4 out of 5. It's not perfect. It's not perfect because like it doesn't have every detail, you know? Like she kind of glazes over some of it, like moving to LA and then living with her friend and then somehow her friend left. But it's like, what happened to your friend, you know? Like I would like to know her story, the person that didn't make it in Hollywood. So that's my reviews. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you enjoy how seriously I am about these books. Hope you have a great day, and if you like this video, hit the subscribe button and I will see you again. Bye!